Hey guys, Commissar Roach here, and I want to welcome you all to what I'm hoping will be the beginning of a new long-running series on the channel. I've made no effort, really, to hide the fact that I am a massive nerd, and enjoy tabletop wargaming as a hobby. What I don't think I really talk about much is the fact that I'm a notoriously slow painter at the best of times. So for a long time, I've been trying to find a way of increasing my painting output without really decreasing my quality. And I've come to starting this series, as an answer to that problem. Specifically after watching a much better painter and a much better YouTuber, Wib from Wib Does Stuff and the Snipe and Wib channels. He does a similar format painting vlog. So I'll be making a video every 2 months to show off what I have been able to finish in that specific time period. Specifically what I've finished, not what I've started and then finished. So you'll see why I have to make that distinction later on. I can say from just knowing that I was going to be doing this, and when this was going to be the first episode, that the drive to finish a specific project was much greater than it normally would be. I was able to get a lot more done. So I'm hoping that kind of continues in the future. Also, before we get to my voiceover and the beauty shots, I just wanted to apologize for any oddness in the camera work. It's been a little over 10 years since I actually handled a camera and really worked with one, and I'm still learning the one that I just got, so I've got to kind of learn all of its controls. So I apologize for that. I also apologize for the difference in this section, this little intro section, and the miniature shots. I don't currently have lights for filming, so I didn't really feel comfortable trying to use that camera to do this intro. Those are high on the list, but we're going to see how this series does before I go ahead and pick those up. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into what I did for the last 2 months. This is a light mech from the company Anvil Industries, and it has the honor of being one of the first models to be painted from my 3D resin printer. I did this one up for a painting competition over at the WASD20 Discord server. The original plan I had for it was for it to be colored as a UN vehicle, but I found it very hard to find UN waterslide transfers for it on such short notice. I only had about a month to work on this. I like how it turned out, and I even tried my hand at some object source sliding, and I think I got some fairly good results, especially for somebody who really never has done that kind of stuff before. If you're an older hand at Warhammer 40k, you may have seen one of these guys on the tabletop years ago. It's an old metal Imperial Guard lieutenant. I had a few of these lying around from back when I played Imperial Guard, back in 4th edition. One of my friends just got into 40k last year and has been building up an Imperial Guard army for the tabletop. This was gonna be a birthday present for him, but I paint slowly, and it's now going to be a gift for his upcoming birthday next month. Funny enough, this was actually the first time I had painted the standard Imperial Guard paint scheme. I had a bit of a time trying to paint match the various colors from my non-Citadel paints, but I think I got pretty close. Now we're going to be getting into a very large project that has been in the works for quite some time. Before we get into the bulk of it, I wanted to focus on a few of the larger minis in it. So this specifically is a World War II Willys Jeep from Rubicon. This is going to be used in the game Bolt Action for a late war US paratrooper army. I think it turned out well enough. My only real problem is that if I could do it again, I would have glued the windscreen in the upright position. Having it down meant that I was somewhat limited on where I could put the classic Allied white stars. I think due to that, it looks a little bland on the tabletop. This is an M4A3E8 Sherman tank, otherwise known as, more colloquially, as a Easy 8 from Rubicon. This was painted up for that Bolt Action army. It was the first time I have tried my hands at doing a historical vehicle in this specific scale, 28mm. I was worried at first that the normal olive drab color of US tanks from that time would look a little boring on the tabletop, but after taking some time to get some weathering done, I think it turned out really nice. My only problem is that I think I went a little too far with the dry dust effect on the lower hull. In the future, I might do it with a slightly more brown color, or just not go as far with the effect. Here's where we get to the bulk of that Bolt Action army project. Whereas about half of these figures were mostly painted before the start of April, I had not given them their final clear coat and did not baste them. And as I do not consider a figure to be done until it's based, they go into this video. Overall, there are 59 figures in the army. That is not including the AT gun, the machine guns, the Jeep, or the tank from earlier. In the future, I think I'll be doing the bases in batches in much the same way that I paint my figures. Doing them all in one go for this project was practically soul-crushing. As for the figures themselves, I really like how they look in a group. The webbing gear may be a little bit too bright, and the green may be a tad too dark for the era, but overall, the effect, in my opinion, is very nice. I may go back to these and touch up the bases a little bit, if I get a chance. I was running a bit low on grass and flower tufts, and I think putting them on the infantry as well as the weapon teams might make them pop on the tabletop a little bit more. Honestly, I really like how these figures went together. These were all Warlord models, and I already have, I think, maybe another box of 30 still sitting around from when I originally bought this army that I just have spares. It's going to be a future project, but I think I might fill out the force with maybe another squad or a couple of smaller SMG squads. We'll see how it goes. I really debated on whether I was going to include this in the video, but it is technically a miniature, so in the video it goes. Funny story about this. My father likes to build die-cast cars and trucks, and just got back into it this last year or so. He's never really been too keen on using paints or glues, though, so imagine my surprise when I see that he had bought this massive box of a model. Apparently, he didn't realize until after he had gotten home that it was an actual model and not a die-cast kit. So, I took it upon myself to build and paint this as a late birthday present for him. It was a bit of a challenge, as I needed to find a yellowish-orange color that all the older Caterpillar vehicles were painted in. Luckily for me, I found a really nice color match in a rattle can that I was able to use. Really, the biggest takeaway I have for this was that my normal weathering techniques don't scale up too well for very large projects like this, and that I need to start expanding my collection of washes and the like for this kind of stuff. In keeping with that takeaway, I have already invested in a small selection of enamel washes that I hope to use on some upcoming models. Specifically, this model was a construction dozer from AMT. Fairly good kit. I really like the detail of it, but I could have done without the chromed plastic that it came with. It was really hard to get paint to stick to it. And so those were the miniatures I was able to finish between the months of April and May. The numbers are slightly inflated due to how large that bolt action army turned out to be, and that means at the start of this series I have finished 64 miniatures. On a normal month, that would be amazing, but I had been planning on starting another army project when I finished up the US Paratroopers, and coupling that with a soon-to-be-announced video project that required some purchases. That means I started to buy up miniatures I knew I would need for those future projects. So the total miniatures I have bought since the start of this series time period, so beginning of April, will come to 228. Now hold on. Before you start posting a comment, this is not a normal number for me. I got some really good deals on some of these boxes, and about half of them are going to end up being for that other video series you'll see the first episode of very soon. So no deriding comments down below, okay? I want to thank you all for sitting through and watching the first episode of this series. I know it's a little rough. I'm not used to scripted content or talking like this. I do want to keep doing these. They'll be coming out every other month for the foreseeable future. So far it's really helped my painting output and my drive to paint, so I'm hoping to kind of keep that going for you guys. Especially so that I can work through kind of my massive backlog, not only those minis from the totals, but also kind of other things I have sitting on my to-do shelf, including an entire Tau army that's only partially painted. But yeah, thank you for joining me for that. If you like the video, hit the subscribe button down below to take a look at the various other videos I have on the channel. Hit that like button, comment on the video, do whatever you want, but I'll see all of you in the next video. Bye!